So, one thing that I've realized, one thing that I've come to terms with during this like summer break is that it really is that damn fucking phone. I made the decision to delete social media. TikTok, Instagram, I still have Snapchat because obviously my little sister's on there and nobody talks on Snapchat, like it's just Snapchat. And obviously I have YouTube. And in deleting social media and actually having time within my day, I realized how unsatisfied I am with my life. I realized how much my life doesn't feel pleasurable and doesn't feel desirable to me. I realized I've written down some notes if you see me looking at my looking to the side. Yeah, and I realized just how bored I am and the lack of effort that I'm putting into my purpose and my life. And I give myself grace when it comes to effort because of the season that I'm still kind of going through, but the season that I went through and the process of not having anywhere to live, being like bad relationship with my mom, and then just it's just been back to back, back to back. So I give myself grace in terms of lack of effort because I think the effort I was using was literally just to survive, to be able to get through and not have any issues in that sense. And I focused on everything else later as time went on. But when I deleted my social media, I have to occupy my time in different ways. Obviously, you go to the gym, you do workouts, I don't know, you have things that you do during the day, but then with social media, it might be a moment of, oh, I'm feeling tired, so I'm gonna lie down, and you might scroll because you need like a little bit of a break. You might scroll. You scroll, that turns into 3 hours of your day, 4 hours of your day, and your day's gone, and you have nothing that you've put in that's worth it to your future self, if that makes sense. So with me, what I realized is the reason why I deleted social media wasn't even because of like, oh, I need to be putting in more effort and I need to do more. It was more so because I was overwhelming myself, or I shouldn't say I was overwhelming myself. Social media, the way it was taking over my brain, I wasn't comfortable with that. And I'm a person who I analyze a lot, and I'm learning to live and to experience and to feel pleasure, and I'm learning not to analyze so much, and I'm learning to kind of allow the universe to show things to me and allow the universe to help me experience different things and kind of surrender and lose control. But I think part of my analytical mind is that I like to have control, and analyzing everything or over analyzing everything creates this space of feeling like you have control over things because you're analyzing, you're thinking about, okay, the possibilities of things, and you're thinking about how you can work on things and how you can do this and how you can do that because it feels like you have control. But with social media, where it got dangerous is social media is an overload of people's opinions. It's an overload of people's traumas. It's an overload of trauma dumping and like a materialistic image, but also just image in general of life that people live, of life that people think they should be living, of validation, seeking validation from people. I was watching a podcast the other day. It was a Dr. Umar podcast, and he was talking about how much validation people seek from social media, and I think he was saying something like it I guess worsens or brings out people's narcissistic traits, or people who already have narcissistic traits. It what's the word that I'm thinking of? It amplifies it. I think that's the right word. So yeah, with me, the overload of opinion, the overload of trauma, the overload of image, the overload of how this person got here and how this person did this and how this person achieved this life and how this person has managed to do such things with their life if they went down this path. And as somebody who has that analytical or over analytical mind in seek of control, all of these things were like consuming my brain, and it was more of a thing of I need to live life. I don't want to live life through other people's opinions. I don't want to live life through other people's traumas. I don't want to live life through other people's fear. I don't want to live life through fear in general, point blank, period. And I'm going to get onto that. But I don't want to live life with that. I want to live life through my intuition. I want to live life through pleasure. I want to live life through lived experiences. I want to live life through surrendering to the universe, to surrendering to nature, to connect into the goddess within me. I want to live life on my terms, and not on my terms in a sense of like control, but on my terms in terms of what's within me, not what I think should be within me, not what people tell me should be within me, and not through other people's fear. There's a lot of social media people pouring out their life experiences and this and that, and how this person did this and how this and this. And that can create a lot of fear in a person, and sometimes we don't realize how much fear that can create. And I think for me, I got to a state of operating in fear, and I wouldn't say that's because of social media, but I will say that I feel like it had a part to play in that. I got to a point of operating out of fear, and it's not a got to a point, I think I've always done that, because it's a thing of I don't want to end up like this, or I don't want to look like this, or I don't want to feel like I'm not progressing. I watched the Keke Palmer podcast as well. I think it was a Scott Evans podcast, but he had Keke Palmer on there, and she said her biggest fear is not growing. I think that's how she worded it, growing. And as a person who takes that self-growth journey very seriously, and that journey of just really connecting to the goddess within you, living out of fear can sometimes become second nature, which is not a good thing, because you fear that you're not progressing, you fear that you're not moving forward, and in fearing that, it creates this unhealthy dynamic between you and you, between your relationship with yourself. So for me, I'm having to learn to live through the lens of love, and it's such a freeing experience, because I'm not doing things because I fear that this might happen. I'm not doing things because I want control of this. I'm doing things because I want to express, I want to love, I want to live, I want to do things from the purity of my heart and from the purity of the love that I feel and I express. And however that ends up is exactly how it was meant to end up. Everything happens for a reason. Everything in this life is, I completely lost my track of thought, but everything happens for a reason. And in the conversation I had about this with my partner, he was talking about the Airbender, and I haven't watched it yet, but we were like discussing the fact that I feel like I'm losing the dog within me. And when I say the dog within me, you know, when people say that dog within you is what gets you into certain places in life. And he really raised such a beautiful perspective that, yes, that dog within you is what got you to where you are, but it doesn't have to carry you to where you want to go. And you have to learn to redirect your energy, or relearn how to channel another part of you. Because I think in the Airbender, they have all the elements, and the fire, like the person who was the fire element, the powers came from, I guess, I don't know how he worded it, but basically they had powers, and it was to do with fire. That's as much as I know. And they went on a journey, I think they went on a journey, and he did growth. I don't know if it was a he or she, but I think it was a he. Did certain things, and then he couldn't activate the fire anymore. He couldn't use his he couldn't activate the fire from the same place that he used to. So I think someone in his family or somebody around him taught him how to activate it through a different lens, taught him how to activate it through alignment or control, or I don't know, whatever it was, because I haven't watched it. But to me, that was such a beautiful like analogy in a way, because I have gone through life with such a survival instinct, and it's gotten me to where I am. And it's an amazing thing, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of where that's gotten me. I'm proud of the lessons that I've learned along the way. I'm proud of the mistakes I've made. I'm proud of that being a part of me, because it's got me where I am now. But where I'm trying to go, that survival does not work. That dog in me does not work. I have to learn to create a dog through love, create a dog through pleasure, through softness, through healing, through like relaxing into life. There's so much to experience, and I just have to relax into surrendering. What is this bomb? Oh, there we go. I have to relax into surrendering to the universe, and relax into love, relax into allowing myself to feel. Baby, I've done some crying over the past couple of days, but it's been amazing because I've cried whilst I'm walking around my house. I've cried whilst I'm washing the dishes. I've cried whilst I'm in the shower. I've allowed myself to grieve, but still be able to feel the love in that grief. And I've never, ever, ever experienced that before, where I'm going through something and it feels empowering almost. I've never been through something that it's quote unquote supposed to break you, but I feel empowered in allowing myself to feel and process those emotions. And that to me is operating from a place of love. And it doesn't have to be romantic love. It doesn't have to be like friendship love. It can be self-love as well, because I love myself enough to allow myself to feel. I love myself enough to allow myself to surrender. I love myself enough to trust in my intuition, to trust in my gut, to trust in my process. I love myself enough to wake up and put one foot in front of the other. And it's not coming from a place of I fear that this is going to happen to me, or if I don't do it like this is going to happen, or if this happens then I'm going to lose these people, or I'm not going to have these friends. Or it doesn't come from a place of fear. It actually comes from a place of, you know what, whatever is going to happen, I have the tools to deal with it. And any tools that I need to learn, any tools that I need to gain, I will. And whatever happens in this life, I am going to love my way through it, because I don't have to survive life. I have to experience it. And I think that's a beautiful place to be as a woman, especially because that creates desire and that creates pleasure. In me allowing such a surrender and allowing such a movement in my emotions and a movement in just loving, I feel pleasure in my life. Like, I think of pleasurable things, like things that shouldn't be pleasurable are now pleasurable, and things that once were like, oh, I don't want to do this, are, you know what, I'm honoring myself in doing this, and I'm gonna find the pleasure in it even if I don't think it's there. And that's an amazing like process as a woman to go into. And I'm still reading the book Pussy. I've gone back to chapter 1 because you know when you read a book and you get to a certain point and you're like, hold up, there's another depth to this, I need to go back. So that's what's happened. I've literally said I need to go back because the depth is amazing. But I've realized I've read the book and I've understood to a surface level what she's trying to say, but I never actually actioned it in my life in the way that it was intended. When someone says, are you turned on by your life? Do you feel pleasure? Do you feel desire? It's not turn on in a sexual way. And for me, turn on has always had sexual connotations. I've never thought of being turned on as something that isn't sexual. So when you're saying to be turned on by your life, I'm completely confused. And I understand what you're saying, like feel pleasure, enjoy life, enjoy things. But there's a depth to it, because that pleasure and that desire and that enjoying of life doesn't come from outside or external things. It comes from within you. You might be living in a shitty situation. You might have a shitty situation going on, but you choose to make that situation desirable. You choose to make that situation pleasurable. You choose to feel good in that moment, because you have control as a woman over your turn on. You have control over whether you feel empowered, over whether you feel desired, over whether you feel pleasure, because that is your power. That is where your power lies. And if you choose to allow a situation to take away your pleasure, to take away your enjoyment, to take away your excitement, to take away that internal joy, that can be a part of your process. But that also is something we have to learn from and progress out of, because I don't have to do things to make myself feel pleasure. I have to tap into a desire and pleasure that's naturally mine. And I'm still learning what that process looks like. I'm still learning how that manifests itself in my life. But to be in that state as a young woman and to feel so empowered in a situation where I feel like I should feel so lost, and I did for a while. I did feel lost. I was depressed. I went through my emotions, and I still have a lot of work to do because I still ain't gone to therapy. Cost of living and all that. But to be a young woman and to reach this level in my life where my pain feels empowering and it doesn't feel like a sense of loss is an amazing feeling. And that's not to say there won't be ebbs and flows in that journey. And I hope that I continue to use these tools and I will continue to use these tools and I will grow in this new discovery. But to even be in that place is such an amazing feeling for me as a young woman. One thing that I did want to touch on was my bruised ego. I realized in the conversation that I had about my lack of effort and feeling like I'm not putting in enough work bruised my ego so hard, because I held myself to such a standard of like, I always put in the work. I'm always a person who's willing to do what needs to be done to get to where I need to get to. And I don't think it's my fault that I haven't put in the type of work that I should be putting in. I just think I wasn't certain perspectives weren't available to me. And that's the beauty of being in a relationship. There's perspectives that come to you through your partner, and the perspective of how I should be working on things and what I could be doing to work on my purpose made me realize, wow, I'm not really doing enough. I haven't really been spending my time in the most in the most proactive way. That's not a bad thing. It's just a learning curve. But it did bruise my ego because, I have a nice understanding of my work ethic. I like to think I put in a lot of effort in what I want to do. So it just made me realize I need to put in more effort. I also said I feel like I'm always going in circles, and I was also told that, life is cyclical. Knowledge is cyclical. Nothing is a straight line. Everything goes like this. You might learn something and go right back to this point, or go round and round and round and round and then stop, and then go back down and then go round. That's how life works. That is the process of life. So if you ever feel like you're in a season of like, oh, I just feel like I'm going round in circles and I'm butting this and I'm hitting at a stop and I can't seem to get past it, you are getting past it. You just need to change your perspective. Life is a cyclical, especially as women, we live in a cyclical system. I don't know if that's how I want to describe it, but we are forever evolving, forever changing, forever growing, forever learning, and that's not a straight path. That's not a straight line. That's not something that just is one way. It's something that will continue to grow, and you might have to come back to a certain point in your life and relearn something and then go back. You might have to do some double takes, and that's okay. That's how it goes in life. That is how life goes. So yeah, I did want to record 2 videos today, but I actually think that's me for the day. I'm like, yeah, that was a good video. I'm happy with that. And I don't think I have anything that I want to express just yet. I think I want to do a bit more meditation on my thoughts and then see what I want my next diary entry to be. But that's where I am at in life, and yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video.